Welcome to Emotions and Stories. Marriage is supposed to be a bond of love, trust, and companionship. She entered the house as a bride, but soon realized the reality was different. What do you think will happen? Let's find out. Today, story is about loneliness in marriage. Mira stood in the dimly lit kitchen, her fingers raw from kneading the dough. The aroma of cumin and garlic filled the air, but the warmth of the meal did not reach her heart. The clang of steel utensils and the sharp instructions from her mother-in-law, Kamla, echoed through the house. "Faster, Mira! Do you think we have all day?" Kamla snapped, her voice laced with impatience. Mira's hands shook as she rolled the chapati. She had been married to Arjun for 3 years, and in those years, she had learned that love was not enough. She had walked into this house as a hopeful bride, eager to build a life with her husband, but she had quickly realized that she was nothing more than an outsider. The taunts had started the moment she stepped into their home. Kamla never approved of her, making it clear that no matter what Mira did, she would always be lacking. A wife should be an asset to her husband, not a burden. Kamla would mutter loud enough for Mira to hear. Her father-in-law, Mahesh, initially remained silent, letting Kamla's cruelty unfold before him. But soon, his tolerance turned to open disdain. If the tea wasn't prepared to his exact liking, he would spit it out, making her brew it again. If the house wasn't cleaned to his satisfaction, he would shake his head in disappointment. "You come from a home where people have no discipline," he would sneer. "That's why you don't know how to run a household." But the worst of them all was Naina, Arjun's younger sister, a woman barely a few years younger than Mira, yet full of venom. She took joy in humiliating her. When Mira would quietly sit in the corner, exhausted after a long day, Naina would nudge Kamla and smirk. "She just sits there like a guest as if she's doing us a favor by being in this house," Naina would say. The laughter that followed always cut through Mira like a blade. Her only hope had been Arjun, the man she had married with dreams of love and companionship. But Arjun had changed, or perhaps he had always been this way. He never fought for her. At first, Mira had tried explaining. "Arjun, your mother treats me like a servant. Your father speaks to me like I'm dirt under his feet. Naina humiliates me every chance she gets. Please say something," she begged one evening as they sat on the bed. Arjun sighed and rubbed his forehead, as if her words were nothing more than an inconvenience. "Mira, you have to understand. My parents are old-fashioned. They have certain expectations. You can't take everything so personally," he said, scrolling through his phone. "But I am your wife," Mira whispered. "Do I mean nothing to you?" He finally looked at her then, but his eyes held no warmth. "Don't put me in a position where I have to choose between you and my family," he said, his tone flat. It was in that moment that Mira realized he had already made his choice. Still, she tried. Again and again, she tried. When Kamla accused her of being a terrible daughter-in-law, Mira turned to Arjun for comfort. "You know I try my best, don't you?" she asked him, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe if you tried harder, they wouldn't complain so much," he replied, not even sparing her a glance. When Mahesh berated her for not serving his meal fast enough, she looked at Arjun, hoping for even the slightest defense. He simply kept eating, as if he hadn't noticed. When Naina threw out her few precious belongings, mocking her for being useless and unwanted, Mira told Arjun through her tears, "Naina took my things. She treats me worse than a beggar." "She's just joking," Arjun said with a shrug. "You take things too seriously, Mira." Day after day, she lived in that house like a shadow, unseen, unheard. She wasn't a wife, a daughter-in-law, or a sister-in-law. She was a presence that everyone wished would disappear. One night, as she lay in bed, the weight of her misery pressing down on her, she wondered how much longer she could survive like this. Would there ever be an end? Would there ever be a day when she wasn't walking on eggshells, waiting for another insult, another act of cruelty? Or was this her life now? A life spent fading into nothingness, until one day she simply ceased to exist. Tears slipped silently down her cheeks as she turned to her side, curling into herself. In the darkness of the room, next to the man who was supposed to love her, she had never felt more alone. And for the first time, she truly wondered, will there ever be an escape? Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.